A Discord message for me? LOL. Actually, the map's only been tested up to 1.14. A stone platform? Have you tried reinstalling the map? Any item can go on the item frame to get to the green island. Okay, we are going to check with the judges. Who is the funniest Minecraft map maker? Who's the funniest? Q Magnet is the funniest map maker in the world. Astro suit chamber. There's actually an acronym for Astro, and I can't remember what I came up with.
Oh, everybody's this was another Terra Swoop Force kind of reference.
That's actually the same helmet from Terra Swoop Force.
Oh, is it? I didn't even realize.
And everybody who's seen this thinks that guy is a human being tortured until they come in here. Fun fact: Ockles and Farkas were originally going to be Bob and Doug, which is like a throwback to some old videos I did where I named two characters Bob and Doug, which is a reference to a Canadian show kind of like Saturday Night Live called SCTV. Is basically the most Canadians you'll ever have. Anyway, then we step into the glass chamber, and actually, Adam, you do it first because I want to show.
Oh yeah,
this was called Fusion's idea, where it pops on one by one. Originally I had it just all come on the person. He's like, "Oh, you should make it go in sections," and I thought it was a really cool idea. So basically, now that you have the suit, you can go outside. It's kind of our way of stopping the player from getting out there until we want them to get out there.
But yeah, that spacesuit hanging was meant to be like kind of, like the Vitruvian Man or whatever it is, the Da Vinci thing.
Oh yeah, that's him.
Yeah, it just ended up looking like a torture.
We could have done. I could have put another armor stand in his location and had the multiple arms like he does.
Oh yeah, that'd be kind of.
Then they'd be like, "Whoa, he's torturing two people."
Unless like we're suiting up aliens, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm going the fast way. This was one of the hardest things to program.
Oh God, yeah.
I had Adam try this like numerous times with me because there's a certain progression. I remember when you built this and you're like, "Oh, I totally wanted you to have the dust come in and everything." There's a certain progression here that if I'm in the middle, that door cannot open. And even if I'm out, if I get out here, I can't get back in. It will favor you because, it will favor me. I can't remember what the commands are. I had this thing in my mind where if you were trapped out in space and you wanted to get back in, it would favor the person out in space because they need the oxygen.
And another thing to note, the different colored floor is like the activation area.
There's the border there. Then you kind of got dust blowing in. So now I'm taking the clouds off here.
This is my favorite part of the whole map, when people first step out. Yeah, and they see all this stuff and like the upside down stuff. And...
Absolutely. That's what I didn't get. Oh, before I get into that, you completely blew the team's mind when you came out with this thing. How in the world did you build all this stuff?
So I remember you talking with Kwa earlier, and like he was talking about World Painter and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I'm mainly, like I would say like 95% of my workflow is in-game. So I'll use, a lot of this was voxel sniper. So like voxel sniper is used to like kind of, I guess like mold it like clay, the blocks in like a large form. And then what I do is I use World Edit then for the brushes. So then it like kind of like paints the clay model. So like that's how you see the little craters and stuff like that. So yeah, that's it's like it's not that easy, but
yeah, there's no way I could do it for sure.
Because you have to use like percentages of blocks and you have to mask them and stuff. But like you could pick it up in a day. I would say it's just a lot of it. You could pick up the basics in a day, but like then a lot of it then is learning when to use the right brushes and the right, But yeah,
Uh,
it's pretty easy to pick up, pretty hard to master. I'm not
how
even
long
close
did
to
it take
mastering
you
it.
to do all this? I can't remember.
It was like, I would say, oh yeah, this one went really well actually. This branch, I think it was like 2 weeks to build, and then it was
Uh,
2 weeks of like solid mechanics, and then another week of
crazy.
like,
And you were like in school the whole time too, I think.
yeah, I didn't have any. It was near the start of the college semester though, so like it was not much work. But then later on, workload picked
There
up.
we
But
go.
yeah, this one
Then
we
you're
banged
setting
out
it a bit
super quick.
further. The one thing I don't really understand is why are there so many rockets out there? How did the rockets get there and then we all came back? Like we left a rocket out there?
Maybe there's people on there.
This life over there. Your
Yeah.
satellites look amazing. I love this build so much.
That upside down satellite over there.
This was the one where I'm like, people are not going to realize how amazing Diversity 3 is compared to Diversity 2. As soon as I unveiled this on the trailer, it's like, okay, we're going somewhere awesome. A couple of things here. If you throw items, there's a little mechanic I made. They go gravity.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Which is really cool for the effect. You've got a few effects on. You've got jump boost, slowness, and slow falling, which adds that. This sort of thing is a little more complicated, but basically, when you go through the air chamber, you get a tag on yourself that tells the game that you are in outer space. And any item that is near somebody who has that tag, it gets a no gravity, so it keeps its motion, but it starts to float. And then after a certain amount of time, I make the thing fall down. That's basically how it works, but it adds a really cool effect. Now
there trucks up and off the edge.
Well,
or even throw ourselves off the edge.
That's what I was gonna say. A lot of people. Yeah. Where are you? Okay, so this is a demonstration that we want to show you guys because not a lot of people saw this, but Adam's going to jump off the side, and this is what happens. And he starts to float back up and then be drawn back into the middle. And the whole reason I did that was because, and he's starting to float down now because of the slow falling. The reason I did that is because in space, you don't have gravity. I didn't really want to do a black hole. And it's pretty complicated how it works, but basically it's looking for structure voids in a particular area. And then you get an armor stand with a timer. And after a certain amount of time, you're teleported to the armor stand, and the armor stand's being controlled to a certain location, to the middle of the planet. But that basically helps people from just falling off the void and breaking the immersion. Hopefully.
Yeah, I remember putting all those structure voids and barriers in place.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, pain. I need like a whole wall of structure voids around the map.
I'm like, you could have told me before I put the details in. Oh yeah, another thing we didn't mention. Taking off your helmet.
Oh yeah, another little secret here, because I thought people are going to want to do that. If they do it, there's a couple of things. You get an advancement. You get this crazy sound, and the thing always comes back to you because you get blindness and slowness because I didn't want them to move around. Cannot move. Then the item comes back to you. You can put it back on. You get this cool little, and it's all vanilla stuff. You get this cool little sound that sort of sounds like your helmet's being put on. And just to kind of put a little icing on the cake, if you go to your secret advancement, it says you took a spacewalk without full gear. How are you still alive? Because if you're like, well, I took my helmet off, how can I still be alive? So then we're basically telling them to come up to the communication tower, which out here, this is kind of the tower.
One thing I will say I did better in terms of signposting when compared to like the circular layout is like the communication tower is on like the top of the hill.
Yeah.
And that like kind of naturally guides players, especially if like someone is like, it's zero gravity, I want to jump off the highest thing, they'll naturally gravitate. Fun. They'll naturally gravitate towards the top of the hill,
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like got the two satellites beside it as well. The one thing I was disappointed in was you originally sent it to me, I think, like this. And I thought that little bit there looked better than this, which I don't know if it'll work now. But I have a command that set it up. But because there's another advancement where you have to get on the top, I had to make it a block that you could that you could actually climb on. That's I regret that, but I couldn't think of a better idea.
Yeah, the tactics get on top of here and then kind of float across. Yeah, if anyone wants to get it. I'm sure a lot of
there
people
and jump up there. You can only get in adventure mode, by the way. That was also a little bit of a what's the word? I can't remember what it's called. Inspiration from Terra Swoop Force. I think they have these
they
air
do
things
between each like phase. I think. Okay, I could be wrong. Because I remember watching.
See it in
I remember watching their behind the scenes, and it's actually really clever the way they do it. So like obviously, if you keep going down with an elytra, you're going to hit like Y0.
Yeah.
So those airlocks are actually to teleport them to a new area. I think.
Really?
So it goes back down again. So you go up and then back down with each airlock. Yeah, I could be wrong with that, but I think that's why they have the airlocks.
Well, I think only one person found out that Roblox is in there.
Oh yeah.
It's got Shepard, who is the first American in space.
Yeah.
He's also the main character from Mass Effect. They named the character after the real life.
Oh no way! Is that actually the reference?
Yeah.
I never knew that. That's cool. Okay.
First American in space. Microwave which is kind of cool. If you leave, he notices you.
Back to it.
Yeah. I like the skins better in 13.
They look more like rustic in this one. Oh, all these screens, yeah.
These guys are kind of funny when you back up. They're talking to each other, and then you come in there, and they're like, "What do you want?" I originally had them called Stan and Vic, which were two guys I work with. But then when we changed all the names to different countries, that was them. Few of these Easter eggs here. We've got the Star Wars trench run. If you're a Star Wars fan, you'd know that. Some of these are random. I think this... can't remember what that one is.
This is my favorite one.
Ah, yes, the Windows Windows pipe screen.
Oh, an MC Edit.
MC Edit, yeah. This is Notepad++ with the functions for what we're looking at this exact moment.
Breaking the fourth wall.
E.T. This one here is something, and I can't remember though, like Visual Basic or something like that, Photoshop, something like that. I can't remember what it is. The rest are just generic things I found on Google. And then into the grid, and this had a few different renditions where when Adam originally designed a puzzle kind of like this, but
yeah, I wanted it to be like a, like a classic pipe puzzle to turn on the power.
Yeah.
And I think we got to a nice place in the end where it's like, because if you do a puzzle in adventure, you don't want the people to be stuck there the whole time. So you want it to be like hard enough so that you actually have to think a little bit, but easy enough that like nobody can't do the puzzle.
It's not the puzzle branch, so we don't want anything really tough.
Yeah.
The thing is, you originally made this weird looking, it had like end rods pointing in a direction, and
you could rotate the whole thing. Yeah.
You had no mechanic for it. It was just kind of a concept, and you were trying to explain it to me, and I'm like, it was so cluttered with blocks. I was like, I can't quite grasp it. And I kind of brainstormed a bit and came up with this. But the funny thing is, there's multiple ways to solve it. But basically,
don't mess it up.
I think this is the way I intended it for it to be. But it's just checking to make sure all of the blocks are lit up. There we go. It's just so complicated. Oh man, how did I do this? I think I went like this.
I think you're doing better than I've not anyway.
This. Nope.
Oh,
nope.
No, that's still okay. You'll still get it, no?
Well, I don't know because I'm in creative mode, so I don't actually know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's just checking for all of them to be on. If you fail and you bring one up with the what do you call it? The diamond hoe, because the diamond hoe is pointless in Minecraft. I should go in adventure mode. It's like the biggest waste of money. I think that was a Minecraft joke. What happens is at the time when you first start, you have a tag that lets you break comparators with it, and if one's broken,
one sec. Just to interrupt. The little intercom noise. I love
Yeah.
it.
You love it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a Guardian.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, what the way it works is when you break it, if it checks if there's one laying on the ground that I haven't made a custom comparator, then the game knows that it doesn't belong there, and then it puts a structure void right up here, which is, I actually had somebody start floating here, they said, and I'm like, yeah, I know why, because it thinks you're on the outside. But anyway, outside the planet. But if you do it without lifting any of these comparators, then you get that advancement. That's basically what it is. Oh, the other thing we should say is originally this was just nothing.
Oh yeah, I remember you wanted to make a window. Yeah.
I wanted, yeah, I was like, I noticed it was kind of hollow. Then I started making a window, so I'm like, that'll look cool. And then you're like, hey, we should like decorate it down there. And then that morphed into, hey, maybe we should add an entire like storyline down there. So this is kind of like, if you notice, the power goes into the lamp and then it comes out over there, and then up here is that first beacon that you drop down to get like in the staircase that no one uses. That's right there.
I didn't even know that.
No, you didn't know that? Cool. Yeah, the beacon is supposed to like power up to there. And you can see down there, there's something down there, but you can't quite tell what it is.
Yeah, it kind of foreshadows where you're meant to go next.
Okay, so now we're going to come out here. And this was you were really proud of this little section, I remember.
Oh, I love it. Because it also foreshadows the final area, with the vehicle bay.
Yeah.
And it just looks really cool from the outside.
Yeah, it does. People are like, what is that light? How do you get in there? And then they eventually come to it, and they don't even remember they were looking at it outside.
Yeah. Oh, God, the elevators, if there's 3 of us.
Yeah. It's funny. These elevators are a different mechanic than the elevator in the other building. These ones here, they are more automatic. The other one's based on a button. You just come up. Okay, let's go. Oh,
let's go.
No!
Did you miss it?
No!
Just TP to me.
There we go. I don't know what happened there. Who built this map? There we go. I'm good.
One thing I will say that I gotta give you props for is you adding the elevator to start halfway up, so you don't have to wait the whole time for it to come
Originally, it was at the bottom because that's what logically makes sense. And we'll get into that in a second. The elevator should have been at the bottom, and then it took so long that people were like, I think it's broken. So I added them like halfway up, so it was just the longest possible amount of time that people would be like, oh, that's what I'm waiting for. The arrows are supposed to say that they are, that they're elevators, but that was so complicated up and down there. So I don't know if you came up with this lore or I did, but in my mind, the idea was that this was the original place where the greedy Dr. Gagarin, or Mr. Gagarin, who was kind of based off of Avatar. They have the non-scientist greedy corporation head, was trying to get all this fuel, and this is where they originally were digging and they couldn't find anything, so they built the other base, the much larger base around the other drill. I don't know. So that's what we called a dig. That's why I called it Dig Site Alpha.
Yeah, this is all your part of the story, I think. I think this was your idea to kind of bring in this little extra branch.
And then there was this, it was sort of like make up your own story, but also unofficially we had this interesting little soul sand trail that came out of nowhere and started digging. And if you follow it, it's like a pathway that goes all the way, kind of busted off this stuff, and then goes into here, and there's some swords around the place. I mean, harvesting blades around the place. There's a computer that's on its side. There's a container that's been knocked over and then gone over to there. Actually, I think it's reverse. I think what I was thinking was this was the creature that they had in here. It broke out and then dug through, killed everybody, and they tried to fight with their swords, but they were dead. That was kind of my idea, but it doesn't really matter. It's just supposed to make it look like there's something going on. This place is destroyed. These map makers don't finish their projects. Again, the same mechanic where if you have the outside space tag on you and you hit this. I'm in creative mode. I want to be in adventure mode.
The same thing.
Yeah, it'll start to. I'm not close enough. Not close enough. A little bit closer here. If I think if I'm here.
How much samples do we need?
There we go. You actually only need one sample.
Oh, isn't there branching dialogue there too?
There's branching dialogue there. You can come back. The thing that you have to have is you have to have the sword. You don't have to have a sample to come back, and then the game will still continue on. But if you have one, it'll take a different dialogue path. These were I called them lifts, not elevators, because elevators to me have an actual room that goes down, where this is just a platform. I specifically called them lifts, even though I think they're the same thing, depending on what country you're from.
Another thing we should mention before we can't see it is the lighting was meant to be creepy. It's meant to be a little bit dim in this whole area because, people died.
That's why and the redstone torches is sort of like futuristic too.
Yeah. The research markers, you mean?
Yeah, the research markers, that's right. Sorry. Oh, I forgot to mention this.
Oh yeah?
This was the blue screen of death when we first came down here. And when you turn the power back on, it turns into a black. Or when you turn that communication back on, it turns into a black screen. I didn't even realize that. I forgot to mention that.
I'm not. I haven't really thought about how I'd actually remedy this issue, but there's like another thing. I don't know, just another, I guess, tip for map makers, because I learned this the hard way with this also. Is like if you do a lot of backtracking, at least make it interesting. I felt like we could have made this a little more interesting, or we maybe could have, I don't know, connected it somehow with less like downtime, because like right now we're just doing the same thing as we did before, and I feel like
a little fetchy.
It's a little bit kind of time padding, and I feel like if you're going to make a really polished map, don't do this. Don't just like kind of
don't do what we did is what he's saying. I can't believe that you were saying. I was just going to show this. There's the line of observers right below that beacon, like I was talking about.
Ah, cool. Okay. Oh, and the beacon's on now.
And the beacon's on, yeah.
This is when the elevator looks good.
Yeah, when you go down.
Oh yeah.
Just to briefly go over how this elevator works. Really, really complicated scoreboard timers, but basically it's invisible shulkers with falling sand blocks all being ridden on armor stands, because when you ride something on an armor stand, you can make it move smoothly, and then you have a levitation effect and you're being teleported. Except when you're going down, you don't have the effects because it rides down pretty well. That's basically how it works. Then we go to Sambo. What's that?
I remember when I looked at you in that recording, I remember saying, "Is that okay?" And then you're like, "That was amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's
More subtitles. Whoa.